All right, guys, we're gonna talk about the syllabus. But real quick, one thing I forgot to mention for the homework in the last video is that you can access it from this front page to the homework and textbook tab. Or if you're in the weekly module, like I always keep reiterating that you should do, when you're in the weekly module, if you go to the bottom, there's an alternative access point for your homework. So once you're on this like kind of weekly homepage, you can access everything you need, right? You have the videos, you got the classwork here, the notes. You can submit the classwork through this link, and you can also access homework and your textbook through this link down here. The nice thing about this one is, okay, oh, it's giving me an error just because that's my personal issue because I'm showing the student view, but I'm a teacher, so it just doesn't let me access homework here. But when you click on this, it should take you straight to the homework. And the nice thing about this link is there's one less click to do. So that's small benefit. Okay, where was I? So this video is actually about the syllabus. So syllabus is accessible through this spot where it says orientation syllabus. There's also actually a second place you can access it, which is the course overview, but hardly anybody sees the course overview because it's kind of hidden, I feel like. Here's a dog hugging a cat, just to remind you that you're gonna be okay. Don't worry, you're gonna make it through this class. Okay. And syllabus can be accessed here as well. Okay, let's look at that syllabus though from here. All right, so this is spring 2026. Information about me, office hours is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is actually in-person office hours. Technically, I'm gonna be in Kokio 202, the STEM Center, but if you want to talk to me online at that time, that's fine too. Just let me know. You can also book appointments in the evening because I set this evening time because a lot of people work and I myself have my kids to take care of. So when they're asleep, then this is when the best time for me. Kind of matches with a lot of people's work schedules too, I notice. So you can book a late night or late-ish night, office hour 9 to 10:30. If you click on this link here, it takes you to the calendar where you can actually just click on a spot to reserve. And you can reserve more than one if you want. These are just 10-minute slots because typically you don't need a whole lot of time to talk. Like we can usually resolve a question pretty fast. But if you want longer, it's fine. You can just click on a few and then reserve a few slots. Okay. So that's to book me. And if those times don't work, but you still want to talk, then just send me an email. We'll figure something out where we can talk. All right, the course, this is an asynchronous online course, except for exams. Exams are proctored, so when those come around, I'm gonna give you guys like a few options for when to take it. At least one option in the day and one option in the nighttime. And if those don't work for you, then we'll figure something out. So don't worry about that. Okay, short introduction to myself. I'll let you guys read that on your own because it's awkward for me to read about myself like that. Okay, here's about the course, the learning outcomes. You can read this as your own as well. As you haven't taken the course yet, a lot of these things are going to sound like a foreign language. Don't worry, that's fine because there's a lot of jargon in here, jargon that you're going to learn as the course progresses. It's a 16-week course, standard. That's standard. 16 weeks of instruction followed by finals week, actually. Textbook is Elementary Statistics, Picturing Our World. This is accessed through the IDAP. IDAP stands for Interactive Digital Access Program. And what that basically means is you've already paid for the book. At a discounted rate, you're renting it. And so that gives you access to all the online homework, gives you access to the online textbook, to the other materials like the videos and the PowerPoints, etc. I already talked about this kind of stuff in the homework video, so refer back to that one if you have questions. Don't go and pay for another book unless you want a separate physical copy. Okay, one thing to note, guys, for this course, you need access on obviously online to the internet. You need to be able to get to Lamaku to access our online homework and textbook. And the other big thing that you need is time. So expect at least about 7 hours per week studying for just this one class. Now, that sounds like a lot, but that's why when we say you're taking 12 credits, that would be considered like full time because that's like a full-time job. And I know a lot of you guys are also working, which is probably why you're taking an asynchronous class. But just, I want to make sure that your expectations are realistic. You should be expecting about that much time per week on this single class. Now, you might be able to get by with a little bit less if you're fast, but I just that's more like just kind of like an average amount of time to be spending. Okay, note guys, for communication, email is a primary form of communication for us. So please check your UH email regularly, or at least have it forwarded to an email that you will check. I will also post regular announcements through our Lamaku site, and those announcements should be forwarded to your email automatically. So if you see an announcement, I mentioned this in a previous video, but if you see an announcement and you're not getting an email for it, then let me know because we gotta resolve that issue, okay? Okay, here's my email again. You can also email me through the Lamaku site. And if you want to talk to someone besides me, maybe if you have an issue with me or something, then you can email our department chair. Here's her email. She's very nice, so she'll help you out. Okay, withdrawals deadline is March 27th, Friday, or also same deadline if you want to change to credit, no credit. So if you find by like, mid-March that you're not really doing as well as you hoped, or maybe you have some issues coming up in your personal life that prevents you from really focusing on the class, then this is the time, this is the last opportunity to withdraw or change to credit, no credit. Okay, important note for participation, folks. Participation, this is just actually a national policy that KCC is required to follow. If you do not demonstrate some sort of form of participation, then you will be automatically dropped from the class. For us, there's two ways that are natural to participate. One is through the classwork submission, second is through homework submission. So as long as you do either one of those things, then you're going to be marked as having participated. But if you don't do either one of those things, then you will be automatically dropped from the class. Couple of small tips for the MyLab Math homework. We talked about this, but if you want to work offline and then enter answers later, there is an option to print the homework problems. Some people like to just do everything paper and pencil, which I get. I understand that because I am often the same way. But the only thing I would say about statistics is it's kind of unnatural for statistics because statistics kind of relies heavily on software. So, you're gonna, even if you do print it and do a lot of work offline, you're gonna eventually have to do some stuff through the online medium. Okay, another tip is you can redo questions until you have everything 100% correct. I already mentioned this, but strong suggestion here, guys. Get 100% correct on your homework. That's like kind of like free points to buffer your exam scores if you're not confident there. Okay, here I have this note about late work. Once deadlines pass, you're automatically locked out from assignments. So that means this is especially true for homework. For classwork, it's a little more lenient. For discussions, it's hard to have a discussion when you're the only one talking. So discussions should be completed timely. Now, I understand if there's extenuating circumstances. So if that happens, you can request extensions, but explain to me what happened, send me an email, and then we'll take that as on a case-by-case basis. Same goes for missed assignments or quizzes, exams, etc. Okay, for exams, I will provide windows of time where you can take those. You will be proctored on Zoom, and during the Zoom proctoring process, one of the big things, which I'm sure you guys are aware of, is just the use of AI. AI is so good now that it can really solve these questions convincingly, and then, in the meantime, you don't have to learn anything, which is terrible for us as students. We want to actually learn this stuff, or what's the whole point, right? So, to combat against that, the exams are proctored via Zoom, and during the proctoring, what you're going to do is you're going to film your screen and your workspace. So that means you're going to log on to Zoom with your phone and you're going to point your phone towards your screen after identifying that, after confirming your identity first. So confirm your identity with showing your face and then point the video at your computer screen to make sure that you're not using any other things. And then meanwhile, your phone is the camera. So that's to combat against using your phone to access sites that you should not be using. Okay, final grades, the typical breakdown. Not much to say there. And then here's the breakdown for weights. So classwork is worth 5%, discussion's another 5%. And I know this doesn't sound like a lot, guys, but it actually is very significant because this is a half grade each, right? So if you think about combining those two things, classwork and discussion, that is a full letter grade. So if you're getting like a 85%, then now suddenly without doing your classwork or your discussions, you're down to 75. Or if you're at 75, passing with a comfortable C, without doing your classwork, you're down to a D. And without doing your just or without doing both of those, then for sure down to a D. Or if you're at like 78%, almost a B, without doing classwork or discussions, now you're getting a D. Homework 15%, that's a grade and a half. And then exams, self-explanatory. Project, we'll talk about that later in the semester, but that's worth 10% of your grade. And then the final. Okay, calendar stuff. Self-explanatory. Kind of doesn't apply. The holidays don't really affect us as much since we're asynchronous. But for your other classes, good to know. Spring break, March 16th. Can't wait. Haven't even started. Okay, and then yeah, last day of instruction is May 6th, Wednesday, and then the week after is final exam week. Our final will be sometime during that exam week. Like I said, though, I'll make a couple options available. Okay, here's the tentative schedule for when we're gonna tackle things. This is subject to adjustment if I feel like a lot of people are not doing well or we need to slow things down, cut things out. But typically, this is the schedule we are gonna follow. Okay. Okay, note the exams. These are the tentative exam times. So you notice there's two time periods available. But if you're not available during either of those times, then send me a personal email and then we'll figure something else out. Maybe one option is to go into the testing center at KCC and then you can schedule an exam with them at a time of your choosing. Same thing applies for the final exam. All right, guys, the remainder is the institutional information. One thing to highlight, I'll let you guys, read about this stuff. There's the student code of contact, student code of conduct. And especially nowadays, and with an online course, the big thing is to not cheat. And if you're caught cheating, then it can result in some pretty strong action against you. And of course, not passing the class will be the obvious one, but also, academic probation or things like that. And then the other thing is to check out the disability services if you need those. If you have a learning disability or if you think you might, then you can check out DSSO. They offer accommodations such as extra testing time or a separate testing area, etc. And I'll let you guys check out the rest on your own though. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I was saying I was gonna let you, but if there's one more thing I want to highlight, if you have need for like, basic needs like food or clothes or something, then I can direct you to some of those resources, or you can check out the things available. There's some cool things on campus where they have like the food pantry where you can get um some food for your house, and there's also things like where you can get some free meals and stuff on campus. So yeah, let me know if you're interested in those things. Okay, guys, have a great day and have a great semester. I'll be seeing you, and please enjoy. Please feel free to reach out anytime. I'm here for you guys, and like I said, I try to reply to any requests ASAP as soon as possible. So have a great one, guys. Yeah.